I'd like to start with letting you all know that we did have an executive session prior to the board meeting, and we are having one after in case I forget to say it at the end, but I'll try to remember, but just putting it out there, we did for personnel. So can I please have a motion to approve the agenda as listed with the removal of item number 5 under business?
Removal or something?
Yes, removal of number 5.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Lloyd, second by Kim. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 30th special meeting?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made by Patty, second by Linda. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. Superintendent report, Dr. Sterner-Heim.
Thank you, Mr. Sportney. First of all, calling a 2-hour delay in April is highly unusual, but I want to thank the borough for quickly communicating the water main break, and also want to thank the incredibly efficient response from Waynesboro Food Services as well as the custodial team. Also, big thank you to our staff, our learners, our families for their understanding and flexibility. And I know that receiving a 5:30 a.m. call yesterday was probably pretty alarming, and I required some adjustments to your typical Monday routine. So appreciate all the efforts. Waynesboro received a thank you from the New Hope Shelter. It's an extension of a donation through the FBLA. They donated $1,772.30. Today, Waynesboro received our check from Martin's Roundup program. We received a check for $8,210.71. I want to thank the Waynesboro community as well as Martin's for that particular program that will benefit food service. On Thursday, the Waynesboro Senior High School is sponsoring a First Choice Career Conference. This event is designed to bridge the gap between classroom learning and professional reality for future generations. So we have quite an impressive lineup of 100 industry professionals and community leaders and educators, and the day kicks off with a keynote address by the WashUs alum, Justice Annie Gomez-Shockey, who will be setting the inspirational tone for the series. And also, I'm very happy to report that Penn State just got back to me today and confirmed that the class of 2027 will be allowed to hold their prom at Penn State Mont Alto campus on May 15th, 2027. So I know there's a lot of concern with the campus closing. The initial answer was no, but we are very appreciative that they're allowing the class of 2027 to have their prom there. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to public comment. Just a reminder, all public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes. There's a timer on the screen, so please just keep track of that. If you go a little bit over, I'll try to signal you. So we'll just go in order that we got them. So America Brocious.
Good evening. As a taxpayer and parent involved in this district for the last 11 years, the biggest takeaway after all the recent events is this. People may not always remember what you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. There's a large cloud looming over our school district in a very large public arena. A local university education department told their students that they are watching how everything is being handled in our district because it directly affects their graduates. Did you know that we have a national teacher shortage currently? A persistent national teacher shortage in the U.S. has led to an estimated 56,000 vacant positions and 350,000 underqualified positions for the 25-26 school year. There's also a statewide teacher shortage too. Studies show that Pennsylvania certified nearly 19,000 new teachers in 2013 compared to the only about 6,200 last year. It's a drop, which last year is 2025. It's a drop of more than 67%. That leaves the Commonwealth at least 4,000 teachers short of what it's needed annually, and even as nearly 9,000 teachers leave the field each year. According to studies, while hiring continues, many districts fill spots with uncertified teachers, substitutes, or by increasing class sizes, which we've done here in this district. Major drivers include high burnout rates, low salaries compared to other professions, student behavioral issues, and decreased enrollment in teacher preparation programs. I want to stand here today to tell you that my family, back the teachers. We support the teachers, and we believe that the teachers deserve a raise. We believe that the teacher salary should improve to help retention and recruitment, that their insurance should have no spousal carve-out, that we should reduce the class sizes, especially in K through 2 classrooms. We should set a cap of number of students allowed in each classroom like Greencastle did. One elementary school currently in our district is going to have 30 kids per class this year by the end of the year. We ask that you provide transparency and a clear action plan for improving literacy rates. We ask that you prioritize funding that directly supports classroom instruction and student outcomes. We are spending way less per kid in our district compared to others, and Mr. Holtzman has said that repeatedly. While it's great to make savings, at the same time, I think people can all agree that the future of our community is with our children. And if we don't educate them, then that's the future of our community. Currently, our reading proficiency in the district is approximately 51%. That's below the Pennsylvania state average of 55%. The district is ranked in the bottom half of the school districts in Pennsylvania based on an overall academic performance. People can blame the teachers for these shortcomings, but in reality, they have very little to work with. Teachers are being asked to do more than ever, manage large groups, meet diverse learning needs, and support students who are already falling behind. Without competitive pay and manageable workloads, we risk losing experienced, dedicated teachers, and when that happens, the children and the community suffer. I want you to understand that our children are currently in this district, and that I have a college student that is going to school to become a teacher. She has to decide at the end of next year where she's going to teach. There are a couple of people that I've spoken to that are graduating from a local university that have told me outright that they will not be coming to Waynesboro because of the current issues. We have to lure new teachers in with competitive pay. We have to keep our teachers here and tell them that we value them, not just with our pockets, but also with the time and the energy that we put forth. They are dealing with so much more in the classroom than you can ever imagine. And so I ask that each of you as board members go into the classroom for more than one day, help out, volunteer, be there, see what they're dealing with on a regular basis. That way you can make an educated decision when it comes time for these contracts to renew in just a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Morgan.
Hello, Cheryl Morgan, Forest Hill Road, Waynesboro, PA. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for the time you have dedicated to this long process. It has not been easy on any of you, and I know going forward you've got big decisions to make, and I know none of you take it lightly, but I hope that the cries coming from the community are listened to. With the final decision approaching in just the next few days, I want to begin by acknowledging what the board has completed in this public hearing. The process has occurred and the record is closed. I understand that no new evidence will be introduced. Given that this moment is not about adding more, it's about carefully evaluating what is already there. Much of what was presented during the hearing was not strictly factual in nature. It was emotional, interpretive, and at times shaped by leading questions. Emotion has a place in serious matters, but it cannot be the foundation of a final decision, especially one with permanent consequences for a person's career and reputation. And that includes all of your careers and reputations as well. Emotion, at this stage, the responsibility before you is to weigh the record with precision. What is fact, supported and corroborated? what is inference or interpretation, what may have been influenced by the way questions were framed. When questioning is leading, it can guide responses and elevate emotion over objective details. This does not invalidate the hearing, but it does require disciplined review of the record. The question now is not, what did we hear? The question is, what can we rely on as a fact? When that distinction is applied, the weight of clearly established objective evidence does not fully support a decision as severe and final as the one being considered. This must be grounded in who Mr. Pappas is in practice. When faced with danger, he did not hesitate. He moved toward it repeatedly to protect the students and the staff. That is not emotion. That is documented conduct. That is judgment under pressure. That is character. As you deliberate, focus on what is verifiable, consistent, and reflective of the totality of his actions, and not just the most emotional and compelling accounts. You're not being asked to reopen the case. You're not being asked to introduce anything new, only this. Ensure that the final decision is anchored in fact, not influenced by how the narrative may have been shaped. Because once this decision is made, it will stand as a reflection of this board's standard for fairness and judgment. If there is any hesitation about whether the evidence meets that standard, that matters. It only takes one member to recognize that distinction, one member to ensure that this vote reflects carefully separation of facts from emotion. That is not delay, that is responsibility. So as you move forward, your final decision, I ask respectively, let the outcome reflect what can be proven and not just what was felt. Because when it comes to the people we trust with our children, I can clearly say, Mr. Pappas is someone I would trust to protect mine. And if you are the member still weighing this decision, be the one who ensures that this vote reflects certainty, grounded in fact, not doubt shaped by emotions, because your voice has the power to make that distinction matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Reiger.
Good evening. I'm prepared. I have my CVS slip. Okay. My name is Deborah Reger. I live on West 5th Street in Waynesboro. This is going to be short and to the point. I'm not going to repeat ad nauseum everything we have heard meeting after meeting after meeting. We've all, pretty much everybody sitting here, I know all of you, we have all seen and heard the evidence against Mr. Pappas or the lack thereof. We've all watched the past meetings, years of past meetings, so many unanimous votes from different boards. No wonder your meetings don't last really long. Somebody says we're going to do it, we do it. And whether you want to admit it or not, we've all seen the closing arguments. So we all know what you're looking at. And my request to the board is to use your own intelligence, use your own thought process, use your own God-given brain. If Mr. Beard, Mr. Levine, Mr. Galtman, and Mrs. Sterner-Hines are going to jump off a cliff, don't go with them. Use your own judgment.
Thank you. Kathleen Domino.
Kathleen Domino, Weatherstone Drive. I'll be short today for a change. I just wanted to share with the district, with the board, and with our community that we've started taking some video, as you can see. We're going to be putting together a docu-series. We heard some time ago when it was indicated that you didn't feel that a significant percentage of our population was involved and aware or represented this voice in the blue shirts. So we agree. And just so you know, we've been tracking the metrics to try to have a sense of what the general population's awareness is. And right now it looks like about 10,000 people, about a third of our greater Waynesboro population is aware, and we would like to extend that opportunity to everyone to have a fair and equitable understanding of what's going on. And for us, Mr. Pappas is sort of a poster child, not that his family isn't very important to this cause, but our interest is more in the health of the district and the stability of the district and the security of our faculty and our administration to feel that they have a safe place to grow and be heard. So we are extending the opportunity to everyone to be heard. If you would like to be interviewed, you will be treated with respect. Every story will be treated equally in importance and represented. So obviously all optional, but I just wanted to extend the invitation. If we meet a wonderful resolve and get all this stuff resolved by the 28th, there is no need to do this. I would love nothing more than to not make this project. So, but if we do, please know that you are invited to reach out to me personally. Thank you.
Thank you. Chandra Kraft.
Chandra Kraft, 8441 Anthony Highway. Kathleen, I disagree. I think the project is needed either way, no matter the outcome, because of all of the issues that have come to light. At the last meeting, Ms. Fortney asked for solutions, and in that spirit, I've been considering how we eventually rebuild trust between the admin, board, and taxpayers. I believe that transparency, starting with full Sunshine Act compliance, will be the catalyst to healing and improvement. Mr. Pence, you questioned the board when the Act 93 contract agreement was brought to vote in May 2025. You said that you'd only just gotten the information and questioned why renewal was being brought a year early with atypical changes. You were met with vague excuses from Dr. Cerner Heim, Dr. Wendy Royer, and Personnel Chairperson Linda Zimmerman. I, like you and most here, believe the contracts were nefariously brought to a vote at that time and applaud you for voting no. Why didn't you know about it sooner? Why didn't the public know? The Sunshine Act defines an agency as the body and all committees thereof, authorized to render advice or take official action. As such, the Personnel Committee is an agency subject to the same regulations as the larger body. Like with all the other committees and the full board quorum, executive session exemptions are allowed. However, the Personnel Committee cannot function under a blanket executive session exception. Under Sunshine Act Section 708, executive sessions of the agency may be held during an open meeting, at the conclusion of an open meeting, or may be announced for a future time. The reason for holding the executive session must be announced at the open meeting occurring immediately prior or subsequent to the executive session. Under the same section, personnel exemptions can be made to discuss any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance, promotion or discipline of any specific prospective, current, or former employee. The Pennsylvania News Media Association advises reporters on their website, quote, "The personnel exception does not cover discussions that relate to general class of public officers or employees or any other matters that do not affect a specific person or persons. For example, by its terms, the Act does not authorize an agency to hold a private discussion about creating new jobs or budgeting general personnel expenses," end quote. Now, how do we know that the Personnel Committee how do we know what the Personnel Committee has been discussing and whether it falls under any executive session exceptions? We don't. We don't even know if and when they have been meeting. Actually, we know they've been meeting because we're here now in this situation, but we don't know when. And when Mr. Pence questioned the committee about Act 93, Mrs. Zimmerman said the committee had been working on it since September of the previous year. But how can we know that's true? We can't. The WASD website that lists policy, budget, facilities, and academic committee meeting times and dates states, WASD does have a personnel and discipline committee, but due to the confidential nature of those topics, these meetings are not open to the public. But it does not list their dates or times. The last personnel committee that I saw posted on the website was June 2019. This is a violation of the Sunshine Act. The Pennsylvania News Media Association, again, advises reporters on their website. Committees that are authorized to render advice, such as the Personnel Committee, or take official action are agencies themselves under the Sunshine Act. And they are required to follow all aspects of the law, including advertising and holding public meetings, producing an agenda, allowing public comment and recording of meetings, and keeping official minutes and all other requirements of the statute. The law expressly covers committees because it recognizes that committees often do most, if not all, of the work of the agency. Excluding the public from committee meetings would remove citizens' abilities to play a meaningful role in the decision-making process and the formation of public policy in direct conflict of the letter of intent of the Sunshine Act. Ms. Zimmerman, I'm confident you did not know the law, but ignorance of the law does not excuse. I looked into how other school districts handle their personnel committees, and I will send after this meeting an email to Ms. Zimmerman, Ms. Strite, Ms. Fortney, and Ms. Weaver, who I believe are the personnel committee members. And in that email, I will link Spring Grove's most recent minutes and agenda from their personnel committee. I hope you can use it as a template in order to begin working in compliance of the Sunshine Act. And this transparency will go a long way in regaining the taxpayers' trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley Wilburn.
Ashley Wilburn. I live at Buena Vista Drive, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Thank you for your time tonight. I want to address one issue that has been brought up before, and that is this district's liability, but highlighting a different area. It's no secret that the closings have been publicized. And in the district's closing, it touched on one of the topics that has been talked about at many of these meetings in public comment, which was the changing of Mr. Pappas's evaluation. And in the district's closing, it was stated that that was done by mistake. I would submit to you that that is actually a fact outside of the evidence and outside of the record, and so it should be stricken from the closing because there was no testimony or evidence given that it was a mistake. There were a lot of things in that closing that were not part of the evidence, if you take the time to look. But assuming that it was a mistake, I asked the board to investigate what has been done to fix that mistake. Because that's a pretty serious and significant mistake. A mistake that has been submitted to the Pennsylvania state authorities on behalf of Mr. Pappas, which affects his ability to seek additional employment should he decide to leave this all behind him. He currently has a big fat 0, which was a mistake. So what has been done? Because if it truly was a mistake, and perhaps it was, then it should be fixed. And it should have already been fixed when it was brought up in January. And if it's not fixed, then I would submit that this board has pretty significant liability as it relates to Mr. Pappas, because his employment records have mistakes in them that have been left unaddressed. And this board has been, apparently for a while now, aware of this mistake. So looking forward, your decision, as I've said before, is not made in a bubble. There are consequences to your decisions, as there are with any decision that you make. I think that the board should look at all of the potential consequences of the decisions that are being made, that are being brought before you, and what not just the short-term consequences and ramifications of those decisions are, but what the long-term consequences and ramifications are, because this district cannot afford another lawsuit. We have very little money. From my understanding, reading the budgetary minutes, we are operating in the red on our proposed budget by not just a little bit of money, by more than $1 million. It is a contract year. Our teachers deserve a raise. They deserve better benefits. They deserve not to have spouse carve-outs or kid carve-outs. We want the best for our kids, and that means providing the best for our teachers and good teachers. That means not wasting money on stupid things like lawsuits and liability. I would also submit, after reading both of the closings and understanding that this board published the statement of charges against Mr. Pappas prior to him being demoted, prior to this board taking any action to sign his demotion, leaves this board open and leaves the members of this board open to potential suit for defamation. Alleging misconduct in one's employment is defamation per se, meaning it is assumed, if not true, to be defamation and to cause damage. I would submit it would be hard pressed to substantiate factually any of those allegations that were made against him. And the board should think long and hard again what the liability is, because any dollar that comes out from a lawsuit is less money for our teachers and less money for our students. And that is what is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Weiser.
Robin Weiser, I live at 11656 Ironwood Drive, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, 17268. Just a very quick and brief review. On or about September the 24th, Mr. Pappas was placed on administrative leave with pay pending an investigation. Mr. Pappas received notice of the allegations against him on October 17th, 2025. October 29th, the Laudermill hearing was held. His evaluation was illegally altered by Diane McCallum on November the 21st, 2025. I'm not buying the story that it was an error. I've done enough evaluations that when you come up with a new year, you're starting out with a blank slate. You don't have to go back to a previous year and alter a number that was already submitted. So I'm not buying that story. The administration published the statement of charges on the school's website on November the 24th. On November the 25th, the board voted to demote Mr. Pappas solely on the allegations that were submitted by the administration. To our knowledge, there was no questions asked, no accusers were questioned, just a blanket vote to demote. Those board members included 3 previous board members no longer seated: James Marvin, Wendy Royer, and Mark Smith. Board members who are both on the previous board and the current board voting to demote him were Rachel Fortney, Lloyd Hamburger, Linda Zimmerman, Patricia Streit, Kimberly Miles, and Mr. Pence was the only person who had the courage to say he didn't have enough information to make a monumental vote like that. And I'm paraphrasing the words, Mr. Pence. If you want to correct me, please do. So he abstained from that vote. The 3 members who are currently on the board, who were not here at that time: Bradley Kirchhoff, Shane Hawkins, Shane Hawkins, and Lindsay Weaver. And to the 3 of you, I want to apologize. I apologize to you for bringing you into this mess. I'm sure when the three of you ran for the board, you did not think that you were be involved in this corruption. And that's the only word that I can give it based on everything that I've heard from board meeting after board meeting. And I sat through every minute of those 4 hearings and I listened to every bit of testimony. Something I will say that is important to me is one day I will stand before a holy God and he will judge what I did on this earth, both good and bad, what I did do and what I didn't do. Mr. Pappas, when he stands before that God, he will not have to say, I allowed a student to be manipulated and coerced by a teacher. He won't have to say that because he defended that student. He won't have to say that I protected the perpetrator instead because he didn't, but some in here did. If you vote to devote Mr. Pappas on those types of allegations, you share in that guilt. And one day when you stand before that holy God, you'll answer for that too. Thank you.
Kim Rupert.
Hi, my name is Kim Rupert. I live at 703 First Spring Drive in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. If ever there was proof that we would go through rain, snow, sleet, or hail for Mr. Pappas, I am living proof. Okay, right here. We love you, Mr. Pappas, and when I'm willing to have a bad hair day for you, I hope you're listening, you know that it is love. I'm just here to say that I think the confusion for me in this whole thing is the changing of the documents as we have been focusing on. I do not understand how a 2024-2025 document was altered and nothing has been done. What are we going to say to a student who would alter their grades or cheat? I do not understand how is there, and the excuse is there is confusion. There was confusion on the change. Would not a 2024-2025 document already be filled out? Would it already not have the name of Mr. DeShong on it? And how do you confuse that? You would already see the numbers. They would be there. The second document, if I'm thinking correctly, would be blank. Because number one, there wasn't nothing to evaluate. And number two, he's been demoted. He's not even there to evaluate anything on. So how do you confuse those two things? And I think that, to me, is just the most insulting, that number one, as a public, you thought we were dumb enough to buy that. That's insulting to me. Really, really insulting to me. We deserve better than that. In Pennsylvania, changing first of all, that evaluation is a state mandated document. You can call it anything you want, but it is. Changing a state mandated document in Pennsylvania is a serious offense, often charged as a felony or a high-level misdemeanor, depending on intent. Penalties can include over 1 year in prison. You can be thankful you're not in Florida like I was, because that's a 5-year prison sentence, I can assure you. Penalties can include 1 year in prison, fines up to $10,000 or more, civil liabilities, and potential loss of professional licenses. Tampering with a public record is generally a second-degree misdemeanor, but it becomes a third-degree felony if the intent is to defraud or to injure anyone. What was the purpose? What was the purpose of changing that document that has already been done? And the person who changed it did not perform the evaluation. Mr. DeShong did. That should have been sealed. That should have been done and over with and completed. It's a travesty. It's a mockery. And it has torn this community apart. And shame on you if you continue this charade. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, moving on to presentation, we have pre-K presentation by Dr. Erica Vincent on Deco.
I'd like to make a comment. Charity Hoxie,
We can't.
I came in late because I have 3 kids with special needs and a husband with a disability. I
Can you
work
fill out a-
full-time and part-time.
We have you fill out one of the forms.
I'll fill it out as soon as I'm done. I live at 221 East 3rd Street, Waynesboro. I'm your neighbor. And I agree with all comments. I've been to as many of the hearings as I could. And the ones I haven't been able to attend, I've watched online. The one thing I always find amusing is people at the top always feel untouchable, but karma always catches up. I know I said to Mr. Pappas before that I was sorry and I understood what he was going through because I've been in a similar situation. It's always the people that stick up for themselves, stick up for other people, stick up for their family and friends, neighbors. It's always those that speak up against what is wrong or what needs to be fixed or corrected that people look back at. And then it comes down on you. I still work for the district. I work in security. And it's been quite amusing over the last couple months that I've worked, that I've had people coming up to me and talk to me and tell me how they would love to speak up on Mr. Papps's behalf, but they've been told that if they do, that they would be in trouble. They are lower on the totem pole. There are, I guess, even though we should all be created equal, they are not. So that's kind of sad. The other thing I'd like to comment on is the amount of money that's been spent on this hearing, but yet kids with special needs in this district are not treated the way. They're not given the opportunities and the money spent on them in their sports like the other kids. So our unified bocce team, they couldn't even have, the school district wouldn't even pay for their senior pictures, for their posters. The volleyball team paid for those. And I would like to give a shout out to them because I think a lot of people don't know. This is something that stands very dear and near to me because I've been to other schools when they've had their senior nights for their unified teams and they've had huge setups where they're running out through tunnels like our football team does. And they've had cheerleaders there like our football and basketball teams do. And they've had all these things for them to celebrate their senior night. Ours had nothing. Ours didn't even have their posters on the wall. They could have them up for one game, but it had to come right back down. I think all the other teams have had theirs up all year long. I don't understand why they're not treated equal. Also, the money that's been spent with regards to this hearing has been really unfortunate in the fact that it does affect our students, our athletes, because our kids with special needs, we're trying to grow the programs of unified teams within the school district like other school districts. And what has been getting shared is that the funds aren't there. So as a parent with a kid with special needs that has, and now I pulled her from the district. She attends a cyber school, but she still does participate in the unified sports here. And she was pulled because of the way some of the things were being handled here a couple years ago and things weren't being taken care of. And she's been flourishing and more successful, and she has grown so much, more than teachers ever said. They had her shredding paper in school, picking up trash in school, because teaching her life skills. I can have her pick up trash and shred paper at home. It's really unfortunate that our skills classrooms here in the district aren't teaching real life skills. They are still competent enough to learn academics. They shouldn't be given up on because they might be in 11th grade at this point with a mentality of a second grader and to the point where, well, we'll just spend 10 minutes on math. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable because they can still learn and it's exercising the brain and it provides them with more growth in their own lives. So mine goes above and beyond this hearing that's been going on, which I disagree with because I feel like anybody should have freedom of speech regardless and people not get so butthurt because a comment they didn't agree with. Who cares if somebody doesn't like the food? Who cares? You know what? I had a school lunch, I had the taco meat, and I ended up going to the bathroom and throwing up afterwards because it made me sick to my stomach. It's ridiculous. It's somebody's personal opinion and how it affects them. Why is that being held against them? Why is that even being made a big deal? Who cares? We're all adults. I mean, I grew up in a time where you had to fight for yourself. Rita, you're older than me. You grew up in that time too. Why are we getting so emotionally hurt over the little things? It blows my mind. It's a waste of time. And I think everybody needs to grow up a little bit. And the focus needs to be on these kids and not just our mainstream kids, but our kids with special needs too, because they are really shafted in so many categories in this district. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
All right. 3K with Dr. Erica Vincent on deck.
Weekend. Hey, let me just see. It's a lot of familiar faces. So it's good to see everyone again. So thank you to the board for having me. This is my second presentation, so I know you're probably tired of hearing me, presenting about pre-K counts and our preschool programming, but I'm so passionate about it. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Today is phase 2. So first phase, I didn't bring any like fun activities today. So I always like to come prepared. But so I'm Dr. Erica Vincent Ondeco. So I'm the early childhood coordinator for Waynesboro Area School District. My background's in school psychology. So I started as our district school psychologist, and I've been here for about 15 years. So I'm a native New Yorker from upstate New York. I never in a million years thought I would end up in rural PA, but I love it, and there's no other place I'd rather be. And I'm a football coach. So that's kind of who I am. So I'm grateful to be here again. Thank you so much for your time. So this is phase 2. So phase 1 was my last presentation, and that was to kind of set the foundation to get everyone caught up to date about some of the updates we've had in the preschool world and the landscape. And so today I'm presenting the draft proposal that we're still working through, but the draft proposal. All right, so I also had this slide last time. Again, sorry, it's kind of tiny, but so most people here were here last time too, but the very exciting news is that for our pre-K counts grant, we've been granted an expansion. So we have the $1.3 million that we've grown into, and then we've also been allocated another $300,000. So we're now at $1.6 million for our pre-K counts program, which is significant. So we'll be able to connect with over 150 kiddos in Waynesboro. That was amazing. Yeah, and that's testament to our teachers. So a lot of our teachers are here tonight. So so you ladies are incredible, and I'm so happy you're here tonight. And you do such great things for our kids. So we are grateful for each and every single one of you. Yay, yay. All right. And so the proposed model. So with this expansion, we have a really exciting opportunity. When we crunch the numbers, our district has the ability, when we look at the numbers and we look at our capacity and our infrastructure, we have the ability to be able to assume the responsibilities of the management. So I'll get into the weeds a little bit. So right now, we're the lead agency. We get the money and we pass off 100% of those funds to our partners. And so right now, just the basic core model, very simplified. So we work with First Start Partnership and Waynesboro Early Learning Center. And so this is just a quick model of what that looks like in the core classroom. And so what the proposed model is we would be able to have those classrooms and those teachers under our umbrella. So what does that mean? So if we open up and we expand and we have those kiddos and those teachers and those classrooms under WASD, our lead teachers would be part of our teacher union. So you'd be part of our teacher union. So pre-K teachers would have the same experience, the same educational level as our kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth grade teachers. And when I look at other models across the state, there's so many school districts who are shifting to this model. And when I look at our benefits, we have amazing benefits. So I agree, it would be nice if we paid our teachers more, for sure. But I think with this model, we're able to pay our preschool teachers so much closer to what they deserve. So those are some of the benefits from the infrastructure side. So that's kind of the potential model. So if we kind of broke out this model a little bit more, what would that look like? So one of the pieces that is so exciting is that we would have the ability to have 2 preschool classrooms in our elementary schools. And again, I've looked at models from other school districts, so I never want to go into anything blind. I like studying things and talking to a lot of people. So we would have, so I've been able to see what this looks like, as a model. And it's been really, really successful. So we would have 2 preschool classrooms in our elementary schools. We would also currently we have 3 classrooms at the high school. We would maintain those 3. Right now, it's full-time, but it's kind of like a half-day program. We would expand those to be full-day elementary school schedules. So that's also another big benefit for families. So right now the model is it's like a 7 a.m. to noon and noon to 5 p.m., which is really, really hard for families to make work. They make it work, but it's really challenging. So with this model, our preschool classrooms would follow an elementary school schedule. And so it'd be roughly that 8:20 to like 3:20. So it's so much more comprehensive and expansive for our families to support them the way that they deserve to be supported. We would also maintain 2 classrooms at WELC, so Waynesboro Early Learning Center. So I'm so happy that the team's here tonight because you guys do amazing work. So we're grateful for everything you guys do. So we would maintain those 2 classrooms and add an additional classroom because they've got the space. And they've proven themselves that they can meet a wide range of our needs for our families. They do great work with us. And then also taking over the grant would also allow us to do some facility improvements within our spaces that we haven't been able to do so far. And so feedback that I've gotten, so kind of in my journeys across the state to learn more about the program, I should have led with a parent one, right? So the families are the most important. But I think when I've talked to families and talked to admin who oversee these programs, they say they love that you have a bigger schedule, like you cover a longer day because it's so hard, like that 7 to 5, 7 to noon is so hard for families, or noon to 5. So it's really challenging, but they love the more comprehensive model. Teachers, they love so many pieces about it. So again, teachers would be covered under the union contract. They would have incredible benefits. So one of the big problems with early childhood is it's the hardest job in the world. So all of us know that who have little kids, right? Like little kids are so challenging. They're amazing and it's so hard. And preschool teachers don't get paid what they deserve just across the board. But by bringing those teachers into our fold, they have incredible backgrounds and educational levels, and we would be able to pay them closer to what they deserve. And so that would reduce our turnover. So right now, when teachers go from emergency certification to a level 1 cert, they oftentimes leave our district. And so we're in this, so for new teacher induction, we're always kind of going through teachers. So we want to have stability for our kids. And this model allows for that stability. So teachers love it. They love being part of professional development. As it's been, very close-lipped, until now where it's public, but I've very carefully talked to just select heads of our departments within our district to kind of flesh this out and see if it would work. And there's so much excitement. So I think there's authentic excitement. I think I say my people when I talk about our district. So my people, like we want our pre-K counts teachers, our lead teachers, our assistant teachers to come and join us to be a part of our team. And I think the professional development opportunities are expansive. You can pair with our kindergarten teachers, our first grade teachers. We have data reviews. So there are a lot of incredible benefits that we're able to offer as a school district that you might not get other places. Teachers at other districts, they're also excited because they're able to utilize resources that school districts have that preschools don't necessarily have. So they're able to like pick the brains of like the social worker. You know, they can ask the school nurse questions, the school psychologist. So it adds to more collaboration. And then also the preschool teachers love getting to know the kindergarten teachers. They can ask them questions and collaborate and have deeper conversations about who are the kiddos coming up from the preschool world. So it helps with that transition quite a bit. And then feedback from administrators. So I also wanted to know what administrators thought. They love this model, and I think their philosophy is it's all about prevention. And so admin would rather find out about the problems when a kid is 3, and you can tackle the problems and really strategize, than find out when the kiddo is 5. And it's still valuable. You can still work with it, but it's harder to address. Then admin also loves that the program is fully paid through for the grant. So it's a self-sustaining model. It's a self-sustaining grant. And for my last meeting, I love applying to grants. So if there was anything additional that we needed, I would hustle and find the money and then cover that. So it's just, there's a ton of possibility, and it's self-sustaining, which is wonderful. For families and administrators as well, it makes the transition to kindergarten smoother because families are already part of Waynesboro. So they're already part of the school district. We already have their documentation. They're already familiar with Class Dojo, Sapphire, all of those pieces. Kiddos who go to those elementary schools are already there. And just to picture the little 3 and 4-year-olds, they'd have little elementary school friends, and that just makes it a lot smoother and easier for that transition. Of course, you'd always have my support too, to help the principals, with that expertise and helping them through this process. So that's the pitch. So that's kind of what I've been leading up to. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to share all the details with all of our teammates. I know sometimes people have to, you have to, in the flow of information, some people find out first and some people find out last. And it's, it gets jargled a little bit, but now everybody knows. So I'm so excited for this opportunity to pitch this idea. And so the overall vision would be to help WASD, to help Waynesboro go from a kindergarten to 12th grade school district to a pre-K to 12th grade school district, and to do that with the full support of our grant that we have, the pre-K counts grant. So thank you very, very much.
Anybody have any questions since we?
Oh, Erica.
Erica, we do have questions.
I had a question. So the number of students is going from 119 to 152 with only adding 1 teacher and 1 assistant?
Nick's going to want you to be at the podium so those on can hear you.
Yes, thank you. So that's a fantastic question. So yeah, so right now, our classrooms, we have 17 students per class. We're allowed to have up to 20. So to be able to make it work by paying our teachers a little bit higher salary and better benefits, we would increase the class size to like 19. So that's where that differentiation comes from. Anybody else?
Sure.
Sure. Hi. Yeah.
Full day is a long day for a 3-year-old.
It is. It is.
Would there be an option that if parents did not want to go for a full day, or would there be no spots for someone that doesn't want to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the model, it's based on a full-time program. We will have quiet time because developmentally that's what those babies need. But families who were interested in a part-time program, we have so many great programs throughout Waynesboro that we would refer. So we also have connections with local scholarships and different subsidies. So if a family qualified for our program, they'd likely qualify to get reduced or free services at a different preschool. So we would help connect them with the really great programs that we have.
Just a financial concern
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I mean, salaries and benefits are a large part of the grant,
Yeah.
like of what the grant would cover. If salaries and benefits increase, what if the grant doesn't increase as much as the salary and benefits are going to increase?
Yeah, that's also a great question. So yes, you're right. I wish I remember the exact numbers, but it's roughly like 80% of our grant.
83.
Thank you.
1.4 to 1.6 is
Thank
salaries
you.
and benefits.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so it is a significant. So I would rather put that money into our teachers and their benefits, into anything else. So we do have spaces of wiggle room within the budget. So I worked really closely with Dr. Holtzman. My background school psych, so I know numbers really well, but when you put dollar signs in front of it, I needed a backup, just to verify it. And I think working with Dr. Holtzman, it's a very comprehensive budget where we do have pockets of wiggle room. So if with that, and we're going through negotiations now, so it's very likely that salaries will increase, right? Because that's what teachers deserve. So it would increase, but then we have that factored into the budget. So there are areas we can play around with.
But there's a chance the grant will not keep up.
Yeah, it's always a possibility. I know it's the state
put it
has
out.
had, yeah, no, for sure. So it is possible. We've been really fortunate that for the last couple of years there have been cost per child increases, and those are typically to cover staffing, salaries, and benefits. So I think the state has kept up to date with those trends. So hopefully that would continue. But if it didn't, then we would look at the budget and then cut back on certain areas that we needed to. But thankfully, it's robust enough where at this point we won't need to. But if we did need to, we could look at things like educational materials if we had to pull it back. Different areas there's wiggle room within those different line items. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so
Sure.
kind of piggybacking off Clint said,
Yeah.
so how many teachers are we currently gonna keep from First Start Partnership?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
How many teachers are we gonna keep from First Start
Yeah,
Partnership?
so we would open those, we would have to, since if the district was to take over, we would have to post those positions. It is our full intention to keep everyone we can, right?
Okay.
So I can't guarantee that because we would have to post, but I adore our teachers, and I think our program is great because of them. And so that would be the full intention. And so we would have to post and go through the interview process, which is pretty standard for any position that we would hire for. But that would be the intention. Like they have 100% of the qualifications we're looking for, and they provide stability. They know the kiddos, like they're amazing at what they do. So that is the full intention, is to keep all the ladies that are here, that are in those classrooms, because they do amazing work. So I can't guarantee it, but that is the complete intention, is to maintain those teachers, because they're highly qualified and they do an amazing job.
So will we be looking at hiring new teachers as well?
We would have, to get into the weeds, we would have one new teacher that we would have to hire. And then, so we would have 8 classrooms. So right now we have 7. So we would have an additional classroom. So we have one new teacher. And then in theory, we could keep all 7 lead teachers and assistant teachers. We'd have to go through the process.
Sure.
But yeah, if we could keep everyone, that would be fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be the full intention.
so I'm just kind of piggybacking off of what we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Would kindergarten teachers be asked to possibly teach pre-K? And if so, what would that then do to our ratios in our kindergarten rooms?
Yeah, this would basically be like second grade or third grade. So those teachers would be hired specifically for that grade level.
Gotcha.
And it's a little bit different. So the teachers would have to have their early childhood level 1 or level 2 certification, which spans it spans preschool through 4th grade. So we would hire teachers specifically for this position. So it wouldn't take teachers away from kindergarten at all. So
Okay.
this isn't taking from our district, but it's supplementing. It's adding services that we're providing, but like in a fragmented way,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. Anything else? You're good? Okay. Thank you so much.
Moving on to 2026-27 budget briefing by Dr. Holtzman.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity just to kind of give you a very brief update here on where we're at with our budget for 26-27. On the next slide here, we actually put some information there. You know, when you look at our budget, we have challenges like any district does. And I think sometimes if you go out and take a look at the State of Education report by the Pennsylvania School Board Association, you're going to see really a lot of the same issues across all 500 school districts that we're experiencing here. Now, that doesn't solve our problems, but it does help us to recognize that these are not just problems here financially with challenges. They are truly across the Commonwealth at the end of the day. So it's a free report. Please feel free to go out there and get that information out there. But I'll tell you, when you see that compared to what some of the challenges we have, you'll see a lot of similarities. On the next slide here, we have talked about this many times. We are an underfunded school district. The adequacy funding and the Basic Ed Funding Commission has come out and said that we're about $24 million underfunded by the state. They have picked up about $5.8 million of that over 2 years. So we're on, potential out there for another $18 to $19 million, but they're going to spread that out over many years at the end of the day. So the longer that takes to be fully funded, the less valuable it will be, because obviously inflation is going to erode the purchasing power of those funds. But nonetheless, the state itself has underfunded us over a long time. That makes every decision we have very challenging. On the next slide, we'll talk a little bit here about the timeline. On the top side, 2 important items to think about. One is we have to approve the preliminary budget at least 30 days before the final budget. And the preliminary budget and the final budget can be 2 different documents. What the board approves for the preliminary does not have to be the same item that you approve for the final. It can change. It can vary. So I just want to bring that up to you. The other item is that, of course, we're currently in negotiation, so I don't necessarily have an exact idea what all of our salaries will be for next year, but we do put placeholders out there for next year. And then the other reality is that probably over the last 20 some years, 75% of the time, the state does not approve a budget before we ask you to approve a budget. That's a lousy situation to put you in as a board. But you're out there with 499 other school districts who have the same situation most years compared to having the state approve a budget before you can make that decision. On the next slide, that's our current budget. Again, very top level at this point. It does have a deficit position. We've lowered that down a little bit from over $1 million down to about 0.64 million. It does include a 4.5% increase. Now, we did not do an increase this year. If you were to theoretically spread that out over 2 years, it's about 2.25%, well below inflation rate. It does include all of the funding for our capital projects as well as our share for the Franklin Learning Center. We do have a contingency out there. Now, I'll be the first to say, you could look at that and say, well, our contingency is close to our deficit, and that's true. The issue is that we're always going to have things that we can't necessarily plan for. Think about special ed, cyber charter expenses, the boiler that goes out, all those different factors that could happen, that could erode our budget. And so we do need a contingency out there. We also need to start working back towards the goal of building that fund balance back up. We were able to use that for a couple of years. Luckily, we had the ESSER fund to help kind of build that fund balance up. But ultimately, our goal is we need to have a balanced budget and then start building that fund balance back up to a healthier level. On the next slide, just showing you the tax rates for the different school districts in the area. Again, we've done this before as well. For the largest school districts, it shows you where our tax rate is compared to them, as well as what additional funding we have. Theoretically, if our tax rate was the same as Chambersburg, we would be receiving about another $6 million in funding. Of course, that would come from local resources. But obviously that would easily balance a budget and increase fund balance and provide additional resources and funding for whatever the board would so approve. Not that we're asking for that increase, because obviously we cannot. Act 1 would limit how much we can raise our taxes each year. And again, that current proposal is below the Act 1 index. On the next slide, these are our greatest challenges. Again, go back to that PSBA State of Education report. You're going to see these 4 items right here as those challenges pretty much for all Pennsylvania school districts right now. Special education costs have increased substantially. I think the last numbers I saw across the state are that more than 20% of our students have special needs. So that is driving additional cost. The state is not funding that enough, not just for our school district, but across the Commonwealth. So while the need has increased, the state has certainly lagged behind in providing that revenue. Pension costs continue to go up. Cyber charter is a significant issue. And then medical insurance, that's going up 8% itself next year. And on the next slide. So we do hear the conversation, people will say, well, the governor and the state is proposing to give additional funding next year. Well, that's true. we've actually put all but $200,000 of that into the revenue line for us. So we are assuming that we're going to receive another $2.5 million of adequacy funding, plus some increases a little bit in basic ed and special ed. So some small increases, because that's really very close to what the governor's proposed. And again, we're only about $200,000 off in terms of our budget, a little bit of space there. Again, we could certainly move that number a little bit, but it's an unknown at this stage. We don't know what the state's going to pass. Our variance is what, below 0.7%. On our next slide, really, what's the plan? So again, we're continuing to look at staffing levels. We're looking at class sizes. We have had a declining enrollment in our school district for, I think if you look from grades 8 on down, except for maybe one bubble class in there, we have seen a continual decline in enrollment, despite the building, despite what you're seeing in the community. And we have looked at these projections. That number is anticipated to continue to decline from an enrollment perspective for the foreseeable future at this stage. So again, we're going to continue to look at all of our positions to see what works and what we need. Programs, for example, Cyber Charter continues to erode a lot of our expenses, so we're looking at other programs. We have Lincoln Edge is another good example. We're trying to look at some other alternative programs that cost less, that we can really encourage the students to come back into our district, take advantage of all of our programs that are here at a lower cost than what it would be to send the money to a Cyber Charter. We're continuing to review equipment and software and advocating for state funding. I know Mr. Erickson and I will be up in Harrisburg next, it was early May, I believe. We'll be up there talking to our legislators. Again, advocating for state funding, advocating for that adequacy funding to continue, and hopefully maybe even to increase over time. And again, our goal to you is for that final budget is to bring a balanced budget back to you for your approval. That's all I had. Thank you.
Board initiative, student board reports. Lori.
Hi, so the first thing I have is that Wash's FBLA is currently participating in states at Hershey this week. They will be there through Thursday, I believe. French National Honor Society has their induction this Friday in the library at the high school. As Dr. Sternheim said already, the First Choice Career Conference will be this Thursday at the high school. That's also an early dismissal day, but students will be in career cluster breakouts that they've chosen. The music department returned from their trip to Orlando, Florida last week. The band and choir both had very successful performances at Universal Studios. And the WSD Science Olympiad team has advanced to states. Thank you.
Board reports, policy committee, Mr. Pence.
Policy committee met, March 26th. We have a few policies from first and second reading on the agenda. We brought back the freedom of speech policy. There was some controversy there. I know we took it for first reading, went to second reading, took it back off. And so we reviewed it and ended up sticking with the old policy, but putting the same or the bullet points, taking out all the information that was left up to a lot of interpretation. So we kept the old definitions and then adopted some more of the verbiage that was in there provided by PSBA. So we took out all the hot button stuff that was causing an issue. And we also went over the attendance policy 204. Didn't really do too many changes there. We added the verbiage about it's in the school handbook. And then we talked about a few administrative records related to that. We talked about the homework policy 130, and there was a lot of controversy with that on everybody's viewpoints on homework, not homework. So we decided to pass that. You can. So we're sending that to the academic committee, and mostly it's discussions on the elementary level. And everybody has an opinion on that. And then the electronic devices policy was on the agenda. We moved that to the May committee meeting because of pending legislation about the bell-to-bell ban on cell phones. So.
Academic Committee, Ms. Miles.
We haven't met since the last school board meeting, but we did, the school board approved the culinary club at our March 30th Zoom meeting. So I guess that's getting started. I mean, I haven't heard. Okay. And our next academic committee meeting is April 28th, which is 2 weeks, and it's in the afternoon this time.
1:30.
1:30. That's what I had on my calendar. Okay, so it's at 1:30 on April 28th, and the public is invited to all academic meetings.
Do you want?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Budget, what Eric said.
Yeah. You're still working on it.
Yeah, still working on it.
And our next meeting is April 21st, next Tuesday, 5:30 PM here, Clayton.
And personnel did meet. Contrary to what was said, most of our talks are personal. I mean, it's personnel and that they are not open meetings. And I did not disclose what we talked about. One thing I can disclose, though, is we talked about personnel for next year, how we may be switching people around and filling open spaces, et cetera. So there will be more to come on that.
All right. Moving on to business. Personnel, Dr. McCallum.
Thank you. So this evening we have resignations of support staff and coaching staff, reassignment of support staff. Looking ahead to the 26-27 school year, we have reassignments for professional staff, appointments of support staff, substitute support staff, school security staff, game personnel, and homebound staff. And we also have 2 retirements at the conclusion of the school year. Want to congratulate Miss Lynn Davis, who's been a longtime paraeducator at Hooverville. And I apologize, I'm not sure if she's been at other schools, but I know she's been at Hooverville for quite some time. She'll be retiring with 28 years of service in the district. And also from the high school, Mrs. Valerie D'Amico of the math department is going to be retiring. I know she has more years than this, but it is 23 years in Waynesboro. So I want to thank both of those educators for their service and recommend approval of the personnel as listed.
So can I have a motion to approve the personnel items as listed?
I so move.
Second. All right, we'll go by motion by Belinda, second by Kim. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
Whoops.
Motion carried.
I punched the wrong button.
Student waiver, Dr.
Gray
McCallum.
hair.
Thank you. We have 2 student waivers for board approval this evening, and details of those have been confidentially shared with the board through the Friday folder requesting approval of both.
So can I have a motion to approve the student waivers as listed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Kim, second by Linda. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. All right, 26-27 operational school calendar. Dr. Cernerheim.
Thank you. So on, obviously within the agenda, or there is a hard copy, I have the recommended 2026-2027 operational school calendar. In reference to some feedback, I was able to remove one of the early dismissals. We did add an additional snow day. So we would have 4 possible snow makeup days before we would have to roll into the possibility of utilizing a FID day. As directed by the board, Dr. McCallum did complete a FID day survey with parents and families, as well as a FID day survey with our faculty and staff. I should say faculty, just faculty. So this is my recommendation for the 2026-27 operational school calendar.
So can I have a motion to approve the 26-27 operational school calendar as listed?
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
motion made by Patty, second by Shane. Any questions?
I have a,
Oh, no,
you go
ahead.
first, Linda. It's all you.
No, actually, I don't have a better suggestion. And I know that we did poll parents as far as FID days and et cetera. I can remember back to teaching though, that these snow makeup days in late March and April are really difficult because at that time of year, both teachers and students need a break. And if you look at this calendar, there are no breaks. I mean, if you take away most of the East or half the Easter vacation, you do have 2 days there. But, you know, so I don't have a suggestion. I know we were following, I mean, we did poll parents and we were following that. I'm just voicing my opinion that I didn't like it when I was teaching and I don't think it's good to do.
So my question, which I kind of asked via email, but I don't know that it got answered. So based off of the parent feedback that we received regarding FID days, are we making any adjustments or changing the way a FID day looks for our students this year versus next if they're going to be utilized?
So I was planning on maybe putting that as a summer topic. I feel very strongly saying publicly, we are going to remove the middle of the day meeting for elementary. That was a resounding piece of feedback from both our faculty as well as our staff. There's some things that I want to discuss with the board, probably an academic committee, such as there was kind of I don't know that it was a majority, but it was a theme within the staff. And I personally have not done the research on this, so I want to look into it as well. I'm under the impression that other school districts do not require the amount of live sessions as we do. It seems like there's also some, but I believe our teachers, like they know their colleagues, they maybe live in those districts and have children there. So definitely a summer principal meeting topic. So, you know, should we use those 4 and have to roll into 1 or 2 or no more than 5, we would definitely have some changes for next school year. Yes.
Then my only other question, based off of the information that we were given, Chambersburg, Greencastle, Tuscarora do not use FID days. Is that accurate?
So I believe that Chambersburg has an approved FID day application with the state, but they're not currently utilizing it. So I would have to dig back.
So we can have it on file and not utilize it.
Correct.
Okay.
And there was a year within the recent past where we did not have a FID day. So I don't know what it looks like because I haven't gotten to that point in my role. I think it's something Dr. Sternerheim does actually, but sometime over the summer, PDE will send her a survey where she'll have to submit like, okay, you have an approved, FID application. Did you do a FID day?
Usually a 3-year application process.
Yes. Yeah. So next school year is the last year that we're approved. So it would be a topic where I would come back to, the academic committee and then the board. Do you want me to reapprove, resubmit? And it's one of those things where I would probably recommend that we would turn something in because I'd rather have it, the availability and not ever need it. And I think what happened on Monday is a great example. I know one of the schools within our footprint used a FID on Monday. Now they don't call them that because it's not a public school. So if we needed to be closed all week, we could have been running FID this week, but fortunately, thank you to all those involved, we didn't need to close all week. So that's it's not always weather related is where we could use a FID.
For me, I know that I kind of threw this out there based off of parental feedback that I was given. My recommendation would have tried to move some of the professional learning and teacher in-service days to where that lines up more away from making 4-day school weeks into more tack on to holiday vacations. I know that, again, I've said this previously, that those 4-day work or 4-day school weeks, that random day does kind of make it difficult, especially for younger children, parents of younger children, to find babysitters, grandparents, neighbors, or even pay extra for daycare. So that's my recommendation on those, but.
Well, and we can provide this in the Friday folder. I didn't think to bring it this evening. One of the things that we strive to do with the calendar is as best as we can align to career tech, because our students, many of those shops have a minimum number of hours in order for students to sit for their NOCTI or whatever their exam is at the end to get their credential. And some of them, like cosmetology, it's very tight. Like those students have to be there almost every single day the entire time. So I know that's kind of step one, is that we'll get the career tech proposed calendar and look at that. So where, you know, like in March for say, like this year we had off on a Friday, Monday, that doesn't necessarily align to a holiday, but it's what career tech was doing. So if we're off and they're off, that's sometimes easier for the high school to manage. And then that becomes, it's a little bit of the tail wagging the dog, but sometimes where there's things that we're like, why are we doing that? Sometimes it trickles back to because we're trying to align our calendar as best we can to career tech.
So I just want to clarify, because I do recall you presenting that information. So if you're looking at the calendar, if I understood you correctly, you were looking at it from the perspective that, like, let's say students are off on November 30th for Thanksgiving. Your suggestion is that should be a teacher in service day.
So for here, I've got proposed, it looks like October 9th, which would be a Friday. I'm also seeing January 15th as a professional learner day and February 12th to kind of move those 4-day school days for that one random day off for the teacher in service, move those days onto the back end of holidays. So it all kind of lines up, make things easier for the parents and get the kids in school for a full 5-day
Okay.
school day.
Sorry, I was so staring at the calendar for a minute. All in favor
Oh, this.
of the calendar?
Calendar.
Yeah. Sorry.
Feedback.
Sorry. All in favor of the motion that was made by Patty, second by Shane, for the calendar, 26-27 school calendar?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
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 Or, and any abstain? 5 to 4.
Oh,
Can you put your,
Well, I didn't have anything pop up.
Yours, you already.
Oh,
You already did your.
Yeah. Thanks for taking care of me.
Oh, 5 yeas and.
okay. So motion carried. Number 4, discussion act revision of the 25-26 operational school calendar. Dr. Cerner-Hein.
Thank you. So I've come to the board in the past to make this revision, recognizing that the last week of school, we have a lot going on with graduation. We will meet our required 990 hours for secondary and 900 hours for elementary. So my recommendation is to make the last day of school would be the May 28th. It will be a full day. And then the 29th would have been scheduled as an early dismissal day. We will have for professional development and then followed by graduation.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the revision of the 25-26 school calendar as listed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Kim, second by Linda. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. 5, so moving on to chapter 49 induction plan approval following 28-day public review period.
Thank you. So we're continuing to work through our comprehensive plan and the 5 related plans we need to do. So this one is number 3 of 5, and that is the chapter 49 educator induction plan. The 28-day review period began on February 27th. I actually let it go until Friday of last week, so it was a little bit longer than that. We got one comment back, which I provided to the board in executive content. What I find a little ironic is that we have a handbook for induction, but that's not something we're required to submit to the state. I'll provide that to the board when I provide the school handbooks every year. So person gave some really helpful feedback, things that I hadn't necessarily thought of because I think I've been in it for so long. So the appropriate place to put some of that feedback is in that handbook. So I'll be working on that. And other than that, we didn't have any other comments. So I'm recommending that we approve the plan, and then that will allow Dr. Cerner-Hein to submit it in the portal
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the Chapter 49 induction plan as listed? All right, motion made by Shane, second by Patty. Any questions?
I do, they've made the motion. On page 6, is that supposed to say progress monitory?
Oh, let me.
Is that monitory is warning? Is that monitoring?
It could very likely be a typo.
I just-
That's why we do this. It should be monitoring. Thank you for catching that.
And a little confused about the anticipated start and completion dates on here, since this is a plan for 26 to 29, why they're,
So the way that the district has done things, as long as I've been in the district, is that we have 2 or 3 days of summer training for the new educators, and then we have monthly meetings. So there were times where I was going back to our previous plan from 6 years ago to kind of get some assistance, and the state has tremendously changed what they're asking for. So there are, like, starting on page 7, there are all these topics that the state now requires us to include, and having the objectives, the lead person, the anticipated start date, connections to the Danielson framework, those were all things that were not necessarily required the last time. So we typically do a monthly meeting, but I have not selected those dates for next school year yet. That's kind of like my June activity. And some of them are also things that so for example, it's now required to do 2 years of induction, and it's now required that we include structured literacy, which again, I'm proud that we've been doing that for quite some time. So Dr. DeShong had made a plan that I'm going to continue, which is that the structured literacy is part of what those educators that are required to do it complete in year 2. So and some of the things kind of come up a couple different times. So I wanted to give myself a little flexibility. I'm hoping the state's okay with that. There was not a lot of guidance provided.
but the plans for 26 to 29, and these dates are all like 24, 25.
So, but and then they're also asking for 1 year of a sample. So everything I provided was from like this current school year's schedule. So
I mean,
it's no, they're all valid questions. I unfortunately don't have great answers to you, because some of the plans the state gives, like I went to some sessions at the SATS Institute to help me work on the plans. Some of them, they have a pretty detailed PowerPoint to assist, and this one, not so much. But based on having completed the high school ATSI plan, as long as we get everything submitted on time, they will give us feedback, and we have the opportunity to make corrections. And if there's anything that's significantly a concern, I'll make sure that whichever relevant full board, academic committee, et cetera, is aware. So.
And I just want to share, overall, like the Franklin County superintendents are very much aware of the increased requirements for new teacher induction. So we are actually exploring the option of doing a Franklin County new teacher induction involving all Franklin County teachers at Career Tech, because that way we can do all the mandated PDE things all together. They get a chance to meet each other, and rather than we're having numerous school districts doing the same. So that's why it's a little bit in flex as well. So, but thank you so much for all your effort. It is now become a 2-year process.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
Edmentum agreement, Dr. McCallum.
Thank you. So Edmentum is the company that we partner with for Study Island as well as courseware. That is the new name of what we used to call Apex, because that was a separate agreement that we had with a separate company. But during this current agreement with Edmentum, they acquired Apex. And so we did spend some time piloting some other ideas to see if Study Island was something we maybe did not need to fund. And the resounding feedback from elementary teachers and middle school teachers was, please do not take that away from us. So Mr. Arison and I had the opportunity to talk with our reps when we were at the P&C conference, and they were very generous in offering us 3 more years. Frankly, they said they would give us as many more years as we would be willing, but we were more comfortable with just 3 years. So 3-year pricing lock-in, but the deal was we needed to sign the agreement by April 30th. So that is why I'm presenting it today. So we're basically continuing an agreement with a provider we already have been using, but it is presented this way because it is a new agreement. We will pay annually, and it's already included in my budget.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the Edmentum agreement as listed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Kim, second by Linda. Any questions?
Yes,
Aye.
these numbers in the budget.
They were in my budget. I bet.
Are these numbers in the budget?
They would be right. We kind of work back and forth together on budgetary, so we probably haven't talked in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They typically have placeholders out there for all these items. Yeah.
This might be a dumb question, but Apex and Lincoln Edge, is there a correlation between, are there two
Sort of.
different things?
Two different things. So what we have been doing in the district for many years is running online learning for high school students using Apex.
Okay.
And Apex was acquired by Edmentum. So the majority of those courses are being called sunsetted, and we're all very happy for that. One of the changes with it becoming courseware is there's a lot more career connections. The content is more engaging. I'm hoping, less like AI generated answers and actual learning taking place with some of those activities that are embedded. We did not necessarily have, so Edmentum courseware, they just, with now being part of Edmentum, we now have middle school courseware that was not always available under Apex. So we didn't really have a solution for our special education students who wanted to be online learners for a variety of reasons, nor elementary. And so with the Franklin Virtual Academy likely coming to an end with a retirement within that program, that was the main reason that we recommended Lincoln Edge, as well as the hopeful goal of trying to get some of our students to return to us, which I can share a little bit of an update of that at the end. So great question. So the answer is different, but also connected.
Okay.
I have a question. So Study Island, is that what is being utilized K through 5th for any reason?
I believe it's just 3 to 5.
Oh, 3 to 5 is using
Yes.
it in the classroom?
Yes. So
Okay.
they complete benchmark assessments 3 times a year. And then during our early dismissals, when the teachers have time to work on analyzing data. So with the students, so at the beginning of the year, we would expect the students to not do very well because it's giving the teachers data on how the students are with end of the course expectations. And it helps them, like when we were doing our visits and you saw students in small groups, a lot of times that's because the teacher has looked at their Study Island data and has used that to group students to better tailor the instruction for the students who might need more support in this specific concept or standard versus students who have already mastered that. We can grow them and move them on to the next topic.
So this is online learning?
It is online learning. They do not do it every single day, all day. For Study Island, courseware is online learning. That is curriculum. So that student has chosen to take a class online and they're on it. They maybe need to be on it every day, but they maybe could, 2 hours a day on this course and 2 hours a day on that. They just have to keep up with the due dates.
And they're not in publics. They're not in school, or they
Some of them-
are in school.
Yep, some of them are. So friends who do a great job of being independent and getting the work done on time earn the right to not come in. While the law applies to cyber charter schools, we chose to implement that same, we need to see you at least once a week. But we had already added a check-in component once a month, probably 4 years ago when I was at the high school, just to say, hey, here's your counselor, here's your assistant principal, how's it going? If students are not meeting the expected due dates, we make them come in until they're caught up. We also have a period of the day where some students just choose to maybe not take a study hall, but take an online class, and that's usually our students who are a little behind on their credits.
High school.
Yes. And then this is also what we use for our summer school program, which I'm proud to say is half the cost of what it would be if we ran summer school through Lincoln Edge. Very fiscally responsible on this issue.
And the last thing I just have to, so Study Island is reading. This has nothing to do with iReady.
It is a separate program.
Okay. Do we eventually talk about iReady or renew a contract, or do we already do
We
that?
will. I believe that next school year, I'm looking at Dr. Sternerheim. I believe next school year is the end of the 3-year agreement for iReady.
Okay.
At least for the elementary, I
Yes.
believe.
I think middle school
No,
would
but
be.
Study Island is utilized in math and reading and science. And it's a 3 to 8 program. Now it's a benchmark. So they're doing the benchmark, and then with individual teachers, they elect to make assignments where you can get blue ribbons. I mean, it's a program we've utilized for a number of years.
Well, and also we have some new reps from the company. And so we had facilitated a meeting at the high school to talk about courseware, and then came to find out that we had access to Study Island for our Keystone subject areas. So this year, the high school has some teachers that are piloting that with good results. So it's something we were paying for and just not utilizing.
Do we follow the progress of each student? And at the end of the year, do we compare the students who are using this and the ones that have been in school? Test score different, higher, lower?
What do you mean when you say the students who haven't been in school?
Well, if I understand it right, this is online, right?
Apex.
Apex, you mean
Study
Apex or Study Island?
Study Island's not, yeah.
So Study Island would be used by all of our 3 to 8 students who are learning in our schools.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But
So I'm not sure, I guess the
student
only other,
has to come to school
Or
just
Apex.
once a month.
so the Apex, the students who use courseware are not the same students using Study Island.
Right.
Okay,
But the students who are using courseware,
yes.
are their test results better, lower, or equal? Or don't we?
I would want to pull some data before
Okay.
making a generalized assumption.
All right. I'm just wondering.
So
Yes.
I think sometimes it evolves into like an individualized choice, like with a learner and a family, where they have to have X amount of credits in order to graduate and perhaps are also working out, have a job. So it's like, it's a balance that we try to, provide to our learners so they have the opportunity to obviously get a WASD diploma, but also have some flexibility, and it keeps them also from electing to go to an outside cyber charter. So, and like as she indicated, if they're not attending, they're not coming, then we have the ability to bring them in more frequently. And some of them come in every day.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's like, it's their coursework. They come in, they come for support, and we have teachers supporting them as well.
Thank you for helping me understand your question.
I'm not sure if I understood.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstained? All right. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Agreement with Franklin Covey Leader and Me, Dr. McCown.
Sure. So Franklin Covey is the vendor that provides us the Leader in Me program. I'm looking at Dr. Holtzman to help me here with PCCD grant because you're more versed on this than me. So this is a grant that's been available to us for about 4 years. There's a checklist of things we have to meet in like a tier 1 category in order to apply for things for tier 2. And one of the items within tier 1 is having some type of social emotional learning program. And Leader in Me is one of the programs that fits that category. And it was something that I became aware of. I felt strongly about it because our teachers, as was stated here, they're very busy. They don't have time to create their own lessons, and everything was done. This is a program that's been used across the world for over 20 years now. So we are currently in year 3 of implementing that program. And when we bought into this, we entered a 3-year agreement. So at the beginning of the 3-year agreement, we also were applying for PCCD money. So we used, that program was fully funded by PCCD money for the first 2 years. And then we reapplied for PCCD, and we are funded for this program for the current school year and next school year. We assume that the same will continue. With Leader in Me, they offer, I think it's about a 10% discount. I realized when I gave you the quote that they didn't provide that discount in the quote, but I can find out what that is. So by entering a 3-year agreement, I think number one, it kind of portrays to the staff that, hey, this is not a fly-by-night thing that, we're going to spend a lot of time on, and then you're not going to have it next year because we don't have the money for it. But it also provides us a discount. So it's my recommendation that we approve the 3-year agreement. Just like with Edmentum, they're only going to bill us once a year. And again, right now, we get a bill, and Dr. Holtzman and his staff takes the money from the PCCD grant and pays it. So it's not actually costing the district any money. So it's my recommendation we approve a 3-year agreement. This one is not due in April, but they send me a reminder every couple days. Hey, where's our agreement?
So can I have a motion to approve the Franklin Covey Leader in Me 3-year agreement as listed?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made by Kim, second by Linda. Any questions?
We have to pay membership for each student. Does every student use it or it's?
So this, instead of buying workbooks, which is the way the program started, the students have access to an online platform. So the students I'll be honest, I'm not completely sure how they do it at the middle school now because they've, kind of adapted as they've grown the program. At the high school, they do lessons about every other week during PLT. So the teacher has some choice in how they deliver the lesson. So students could log on to the platform and do the lesson. They could do the lesson as a whole group. But they're releasing some content where students can earn micro-credentials. And so that would maybe help us with our Act 158 status. So that's something that I want to hopefully use a training day to learn a little bit more about. So that's what the license is for each student. It's for them to have access to the online platform. Unfortunately, there's not really a way around that, and it is not cheap.
Can't pay per piece. Or
Um,
does everybody use, every single student gets it?
Every single student is supposed to be doing it, yes. Yes,
And it's all covered by the grant.
yes.
What other things can you use in this place?
There's a lot of other things. Like you may have heard of like Old Bay's bullying prevention program. That's another SEL program so Leader in Me is pre-K to 12, but Erica had already implemented second step at pre-K and then brought that through a grant, I believe, to elementary, and they were very happy with that program. So what we made the decision was to stick with our current structure. And actually, I have a day with our admin. Maybe I should invite you to that because our trainer has a colleague who works with another district that does the same thing as us, where it's second step into Leader. So that's another example. Like second step is another thing we could use in that category, but she got it paid for separately.
The social emotional learning as a component of that grant?
That's my understanding, yes.
What was the tier 1 to tier 2? What was that a part of the grant when you mentioned going from tier 1 to tier 2?
Yeah, so I'm probably a little
Sorry,
more
I was on
familiar. No,
PCCD.
PCCD money is guaranteed through the state. We're essentially given like an allotted amount. And I can share that information with you in a Friday folder, but there's a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So if we really want something in tier 3, we have to comply by all the tier 1 and tier 2 items. So like one of the things that we have utilized, it's like usually safety and security. So we have invested and used considerable amount of money with like the cameras and, for safety and security of the school district. And then for the the mental health component, we're utilizing PCCD money to pay for a social worker at WAMS, and she works at both at WAMS and WASHES, and that was also a 2-year grant. A number of years ago when we weren't able to secure enough counselors, that's where we actually used PCCD money to pay for like an online counseling service. It was called Gaggle, which is a really weird name, but we did utilize that for a year. And so in reference to the tier 1, school districts in the state of Pennsylvania are expected to have some type of, whether you want to call it social emotional learning or more like essential skill training. So this particular program, Dr. McCallum brought it to my attention, and I also followed up. I like it because it's aligned with Stephen Covey, which again, if anyone has a familiarity, that is like what we look at from a business perspective. So this is what we're utilizing. This is more for like essential skills and intentionally like trying to look at career development as well. So
What does PCCD stand for?
Pennsylvania
Commission on-
Crime Commission
Commission on Crime and Delinquency.
and Delinquency. Yeah.
Then you counsel on crime.
Yeah.
That's the commissioner.
We like our acronyms.
I don't know why the state decided to fund their PCCD, but this was something like just post-COVID, that started putting a lot of this safety and security money through the PCCD department to come into schools, which is just a little unique because typically we would see items coming in through PDE.
Not, I don't want to belabor, but does this come down through PDE to do this type of instruction?
When I was at the end of my first year at the high school, I felt like we've got awesome kids that come every day and try their best, but like something's missing, like our attendance, like we were still struggling with some of that. And I was, kind of just looking around and found a video, and it was basically like everybody can be a leader. And that's kind of like the major tenet of this, that, you know, maybe I'm not the class president or the captain of the team, but I can be a leader. And that maybe just means that I'm going to, you know, demonstrate what it is to be a good student or a good citizen or whatever. And so I've seen a lot of leadership come from that, you know, the number of clubs that we've approved the last couple of years. The student lighthouse team. So part of this is that we have a teacher lighthouse team that's kind of running the program, and a student lighthouse team. They presented at Rotary a couple times. There's a lot of student-led initiatives that have been going on at the high school, things that like they asked to have a student lounge. Like, we're in study hall. Do we have to sit in the auditorium? Can we sit in this more collaborative space? They ran a winter formal. They raised the money. They said, hey, can we get a charging station? That was kind of expensive. Lo and behold, Nick had one that he wanted a conference. It was sitting in the closet. Here's your charging station. So, you know, some of these like little things, but they made a big difference to them. Last month, they hosted Community Learning Day for Leader in Me. So Spring Grove High School came to visit. We've gone to Spring Grove to visit their program, as well as West York High School. We went there last year. And I know Upper Dauphin is also a leader in these schools. So there's several schools in our region. Punxsutawney is another one. We did not go to their Community Learning Day because it was this day before, like, Punxsutawney saw a shadow 2 years ago. And I didn't want to make the district pay for the hotel. So we just went to West York because we could go there in one day. But our students have gone too. And yeah, so.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
Any abstained? All right. Motion carried. Pence, first reading of policies.
All right, first policy up for first reading is, freedom of speech. Again, we took out the language that was up for question, had a lot of different interpretation. So we by and large stayed with the old policy and did not adopt a lot of the new information or new bullet points within the new proposals from PSBA. And then policy 204, attendance. We added a few things but didn't make really too many changes. We kept the building principal and WSD police as those that would be notified.
Okay, any questions since this is just a discussion? Moving on, second reading of policies, Mr. Pence.
So for second reading, we had 105.2 exemption from instruction, 209.2 diabetes management, and 918 Title I parent and family engagement. No changes that I'm aware of from the first reading.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the second reading of the policies as listed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Patty, second by Pat. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried. Agreement for construction materials testing and indoor air quality testing. Your last word.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So we're asking for agreement. This is part of the project. We have it in the budget for this with bond. It provides indoor air quality and construction materials testing at the schools we've listed there. And then we are asking for a small caveat. I think there's some language we want to strengthen up a little bit with the solicitor. So if there's a motion, it would just add in subject to solicitor approval. And really, it's not going to change the scope of the project. It's not going to change the amount, but it'll make it a little bit of a stronger agreement for our side.
So can I have a motion to approve the agreement for construction materials testing and indoor air quality testing as listed, subject to solicitor approval?
Smith.
Don't move.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Lloyd, second by Shane. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to financial business. Do these together if everybody's fine with that, Dr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So we have the board bills payable general fund cafeteria requisitions in there. And then we also have some exonerations for occupation tax and per capita tax from JP Harris.
And I have a motion to approve the purchase orders and bills for payment and the JP Harris exonerations for March 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Right, motion made by Lloyd, second by Shane. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstained? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Clayton cabinet comments.
A couple things. Okay, if I go first, Rachel?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, so our last early dismissal of the school year then, because we approved the calendar change, is going to be this week on Thursday. Elementary students dismiss at 12:50, secondary at 11:50. Breakfast and lunches will be served. We're going to be hosting a wellness committee meeting next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. That's part of a every 3-year requirement through our food program with the federal government, as well as our wellness policy. So the community, parents, staff are welcome to attend. And I believe that's going to be in the LGI upstairs. I'm going to get something out through Dojo tomorrow. I apologize for the delay on that.
Oh, it's next Tuesday, you said?
The 21st, yes. That is
Great.
next at 4.
It is.
Like to thank my secretary and the building admin. So the last one is behind the first choice sign, but we have new pictures from all 6 schools. So thank you, building admin and their staff, for getting us high resolution pictures. That's not always easy, I'm learning. And also I just wanted to separately, congratulate Tom Hoffman. You approved his resignation as boys basketball coach. 26 years of coaching the same sport is certainly a labor of love, and he's done an amazing job. It was definitely a highlight for me when I was the principal, getting to be the admin on the fan bus when they were in their district playoff run and then their state run. So super exciting to see them play, and he's done an excellent job. So just wanted to congratulate him on a successful career as the basketball coach. And that's all that I have. I thought of something when I was talking about one of my agenda items, Rachel, and I forgot what it was. So maybe next time.
Sure. Just a quick one. Again, I appreciate Dr. Sternerhein's comments earlier today. I sincerely appreciate the borough calling us very early on Monday. Gave us a lot of flexibility and time to be able to open safely with the 2-hour delay. So we really do appreciate that phone call and the decision. Obviously, the staff did a wonderful job in doing what they could do to get everything ready to go. Just as a reminder for the community, once the boil water advisory is lifted, then we still have to go through a lot of different steps in the building. So you might not see everything pulled off of water fountains and things of that nature very quickly, because we have to go through and flush everything out of the system. Some things have to be sanitized, especially in the food service area. Filters have to be changed in different areas. So there's a few other steps we'll have to go through. But again, just to give you a heads up, so it won't be an immediate. When that ban is lifted, it'll take us a little time to get through that. So thank you.
Okay. Board member comments. I just would like to thank everybody for coming and always investing in our community. As always, we truly appreciate it.
I second that. Thanks for coming out. And a lot of people talked about trust. Trust is gained by the spoonful and lost by the bucketful.
I'll third that. Thank you guys for coming out. Also, shout out to 5th grade Mallory teachers. I get to go on a field trip tomorrow to the Orioles game with Natalie.
Did you go to?
It's going to be hot.
There was something they went.
Yeah, and a hat.
Mallory went somewhere today.
It was-
Pine Hill.
It was 3rd grade.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, just a reminder, we do have a executive session following the board meeting. So can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion to adjourn. All right, any questions about that adjournment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned.